Hi there, and welcome back to the test kitchens of Keddie Farms. This morning, or earlier today, you saw us brine our holiday turkey. Now it's time for the big reveal. We're going to remove our turkey from the brine. We're going to rinse it, put it back into a water bath, let it sit for a few minutes, and then come back, and we're going to do two different preparations. Those of you who want to do a traditional preparation, which would be a roasted whole turkey, and those that, like me, want to cheat, which is to cut the turkey up and cook it fast. So here we go. We will remove the bird. Oh boy. So the whole idea here is to rinse it up really well and get all of our salt and spices off of it. So here's an interesting question. People ask the difference between a white feathered bird and a dark feathered bird. Simply put, if you look closely, dark feathers down to the quill is colored. And so if they don't remove the quill completely, you'll have little specks. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong, it's just that's part of the bird. So when people say they have a preference, there you are. There's a major difference between a white bird and a dark feathered bird. So we'll let that sit there. We're going to get the brine out of the pot. And then get rid of that water. Rinse our pot just a little bit. So we'll start filling the pot with fresh water. So we'll let the turkey sit there in that nice clean water for about 10 minutes. Salt from the brine, well, the brine, which was made of salt, is removed so we don't have a salty bird. Here we are. It's sat now for about 10 minutes, so we're going to want to rinse it off yet again, and the final preparation is upon us. So here we are, out of the water, into the sink. One more good rinse inside and out. And here we are. We'll make sure good and rinsed out. So we're going to start with the traditional preparation with the breast down, and that's going to allow most of the fat is in the back. That'll allow it to trickle down and keep our breast nice and moist. Okay, here we are. We're going to start by getting a fresh towel to pat excess moisture off the bird. That was a recommendation from the Pioneer Woman, who we like to watch every weekend. She likes to use butter. I'm going to use olive oil. So we're going to start by liberally applying olive oil to our bird. Then we're going to give it a quick wipe down. So when we apply the spices, they'll stick really nicely to it. Okie dokie, there we are. So I've got a spoon. I'm going to use a spoon to dish my spices because I've been touching the bird. I don't want to be putting my hands on the spices. In case I have extra, we can use it for cooking a chicken or something down the road. So here we are with spices that we mixed up yesterday. We're going to just start coating the bird with the spices. And if we have some spices fall in the pan, that's cool too. That'll make our drippings taste really yummy. So here we are. We're going to work this in really nicely. And we're going to turn the bird. We're going to get it underneath the wings. So as you mix this up, you see the yellow start to come out. That's from the turmeric, which was one of the spices we chose to put on our bird. And get around to this side. All right. It looks messy to some, it looks yummy to me. So we're going to make sure we get this spice really kind of all the way through the bird. So with the traditional preparation, this is about the point where I have to wash my hands again. Not a lot of people would do what I would do next, but I've had a tendency to cook in a pan on the Traeger using broth or beer as a component to my cooking. And it adds moisture, which, you know, we all want to make sure we have a nice moist turkey, and that's why I do it. It's, at this point, you can do what you want, but it, you know, this is just something I've learned over the years. So, traditional preparation aside, now what we're going to do is take the bird out of the pan and show you an accelerated version of cooking a turkey, which I learned from my friends at Pacific Foods in our test kitchens there. Earlier we had talked about traditional preparation, and here we have a bird that's been traditionally prepared. Now normally, as we would be getting ready to put this either in the oven or on the grill, we would be putting aluminum foil on the top for the first few hours. But since we're going to show an alternative preparation, that of breaking the bird down, similar to cooking a chicken, we will hold off on the putting the aluminum foil on until later. So we're going to take the bird out and set our pan aside. And I'm going to wash my hands just a little bit because now I have to start using knives, which we want to make sure we have all of our fingers in place when we're done. So I'm going to make some more room here. Okie dokie. So let's start by taking the wing off. And what we do is we're going to try and find the bone of the joint and just gently slice through it. As we remove parts, we will place them in the pan. Because what we want to do later is we want to have a specific arrangement for this bird as we begin to cook it. So now we're going to flip it over. I'm going to remove the string that's holding the legs and the tail together. Okie dokie. So we've got the string off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave the leg and the thigh together. That's a really big chunk of meat. Typically that dark meat takes a lot longer than the white meat, so this will actually be layered on top of the breast meat.
Why?
Because we want to make sure we would layer the dark meat on top of the white meat, because what we're really trying to do is make sure we have the moistest, juiciest breast meat as possible. That answer your question?
Yes, that's fabulous.
I just need. There we are. Success. All right, there's one leg and thigh combination. Now here comes a little bit more of a trickier process because we've got to get through the rib cage. So I think this is where I will probably get a little bit bigger material or bigger knife, cleaver. Okay, that's one side. Okie dokie. So here we are. We finally have a bird that's been broken down to the pieces that we want. Okay, now we have a fully cut up bird. We're going to go ahead and cook the breast just like this in one big piece. And so here we are. We've grabbed a fresh pan. We're going to lay that thing with the bone down. We're going to come over here and get the back, kind of wedge it in there. We're going to take the wings next and fold them oh so nicely in there. Then we're going to do the other wing over here. So then we're going to take this big old chunk of leg and thigh and we're going to stick it right up there on top. So we have a nice compact turkey that will cook just fantastic in probably, I'm not going to say half the time, but it's going to be a little bit less than cooking it whole. So let's take these spices that we had and drench the bird. So we have a choice, beer or broth. So I'm going to be politically correct and I'm going to use one broth and one beer. That keeps everybody happy. Plus the hoppiness of the beer will actually come through. I do this regularly when I cook beef, and last year when I cooked turkey did the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and pour this nice local beer in the pan, and then we're going to take our Pacific chicken stock and we're also going to pour it into the pan too. So the cool thing about this is that we're going to guarantee that we're going to have a nice juicy bird. And so for good measure, I think we'll sprinkle a little bit of spice on top since I poured most of the spice off with the beer. There we go. We got everything covered. So because I didn't put my hands inside the pot, we have, probably half a cup of spice that would go really well with probably anything from pork loin, pork chops, to chicken. So we will put our lid back on this later and save it for the next time. So earlier we talked about the whole bird. When she was all ready to go, what we would do next. Well, we're kind of at that same point with the cut up bird. We're going to take a nice big chunk of aluminum foil. We're going to get it nice and covered. So what we do for the first few hours, we're going to start actually tomorrow we're going to start our turkey in the oven, and we're going to start at probably about 220 degrees for a few hours, where we will basically begin the cooking process. And by leaving the aluminum foil on top, what you're doing is keeping all the steam inside. Later on, we will transfer our turkey out to the Traeger, and we will cook it with the aluminum foil off, so we get a nice smoky bird. Thanks for joining, and I hope this helps. See you next time.